Good morning, dear students. Welcome to this live lecture session. In the last two classes, we have been discussing about the milling machine parts, various types of milling machines, what are the various milling cutters, various milling operations. In this class, I would like to take you to various types of indexing methods and various types of gear cutting methods. First of all, indexing machine will be supplied with some attachments which are generally known as vertical milling attachment and dividing head as well as slotting attachment. Vertical milling attachment is used to mill facing operations or milling operations on flat surfaces, whereas slotting attachment that is used to slot holes or keyways, and in this attachment the rotary motion of the spindle will be converted into reciprocating motion. Thirdly, dividing head is one of the important milling attachments. This is also called the work holding device also. Now, with this attachment called dividing head, we go to a very important operation of indexing, widely used in all milling machines. What is indexing? The operation of rotating the job through a required angle between successive cuts. This is called indexing. The job will be fixed on the table, and when gears are to be cut or number of slots are to be cut on the job, the surface, working surface is to be divided into equal number of parts. So, this is called the operation called indexing. Now, this dividing head is used to accomplish this process. So, this is accomplished with the help of a milling attachment called dividing head, and it helps to divide the job periphery into a number of equal divisions. Now, what are the types of dividing heads? There are a number of types of dividing heads. For example, one is direct indexing head, second one is plain indexing head, third one is universal indexing head, and another one is also called optical indexing head. Now, we discuss in detail about each of these indexing heads. First of all, direct indexing head. Here, the indexing head is connected directly to the crank, that is, it has the spindle connected directly to the index crank, and the index plate located on the back of the head actually, and this index plate generally has 24 equi-spaced holes and may be used for common divisions of 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 and 12 and 24. So, direct indexing head is directly mounted on the spindle where the work is also mounted, and by rotating the index plate, the spindle will be rotating the job also. So, as 24 numbers of holes are there, equi-spaced 24 holes, and factors of 24 are 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 and 24. Any of these parts can be easily divided using this direct indexing head. Another indexing head is plain indexing head, and the limitation of the direct indexing head has led to this type of indexing head, and this has an index plate of a number of holes arranged concentrically. There will be only one circle of holes in the direct indexing head, whereas here concentric hole circles are there. Number of holes will be varying from one hole to the other hole, and the crank has an arrangement in connection with the plunger pin. And we discuss when we look at the diagram, and we detailedly know these things. The crank can be rotated about the axis, and the plunger can be fixed at any desired hole. You can rotate the crank with the help of the plunger, and you can fix it at any hole, so that the job is rotated through a required angle. This is a sketch illustrating a plane indexing head. So here this is called the shaft, worm shaft, and this is the main spindle, index spindle. So at the end of this spindle, the job will be fixed here, and this is called index plate, where you are seeing number of holes here. These are all concentric holes. Each hole will be having specified number of hole circles, and this part is called the crank, index crank. With this handle on the crank or the plunger on the crank, you can rotate the index crank, and this plunger pin can be connected to any one of these holes. And for reference purpose, we have sector arms. These are sector arms. You can rotate it, and in order to reference, to make the starting point of the indexing, these sector arms are also used. So index pin, you have index crank, the plunger, sector arm, this is index plate, and this is the shaft connecting the plate. This is called the shaft or the worm shaft. At the end of the shaft, you have a single thread worm. This single thread worm is engaged with a worm wheel on the top, and this worm wheel is having 40 teeth on its face, and these two are meshing with each other, and when the crank is rotated, shaft is rotated, and this worm wheel also rotates. Because the number of teeth on the periphery on the face of the worm wheel is 40, the speed ratio between these two, that is worm shaft and the worm wheel, these two are maintained at 1:40. So this worm wheel shaft, which is called the spindle, at the end of the spindle we have the job or the work which is to be indexed. This job is rotated as per the required indexing movement. This is a plane indexing head. Now some more new points about this plane indexing head. The rotation of the crank is transmitted through a gear to the job. So while you rotate the crank and the worm shaft is rotated and worm wheel is there on the top, and by 90 degrees the power or the movement is transferred, and this transmitted movement will be given to the job. And next is the ratio of the crank and the shaft on which the job is mounted. It is 40:1. That is 40 number of teeth are there. That is why 40:1. So next type of universal dividing head. The third one is universal dividing head. And with this dividing head, we have some more advantages. It is similar in construction to plane indexing head, and it has an additional feature of the spindle on which the job is mounted. The spindle may be tilted and clamped at any desired angle in a quadrant. You can rotate, you can tilt it, and you fix it so that angularly the job can be indexed and the machining can be done. So this is the difference between plane indexing and universal indexing in the construction. The facilities setting the job in vertical, horizontal or in inclined position. So this facilitates by moving the spindle at a desired angle. You can place it in the vertical or horizontal or at any inclined position, and this is used for mainly milling helical grooves. Helical grooves are indexed with this universal dividing head. So this is a snap photo of a universal dividing head. This is indexing plate, this is the crank, you have the handle, and this head can be tilted. This is the spindle, and in between the spindle head and the tailstock, this is tailstock, in between these two the job will be clamped, and before clamping the job can be rotated in a quadrant, either vertically or horizontally or at an inclined angle, and the tailstock supports the other end of the job. So as the crank is rotated, this motion is transmitted to the spindle, and the job will be rotated and the cutter will be doing the milling operation. What are the methods of indexing? We have seen different types of indexing heads, and the methods also varies. One is direct indexing, another one is simple indexing, and compound indexing is there, differential indexing, and lastly angular indexing methods. These are the 5 methods. Each have its own limits: direct indexing, simple indexing, compound indexing, differential indexing, and angular indexing. The number of divisions which each method can index will be gradually increasing as we start from direct indexing towards differential indexing. Now we see about direct indexing. Direct indexing, we have the spindle attached with an index plate, and this plate will be having only one circle of holes. 24 holes are general number, and the index crank movement, that's why it is taken as 24 divided by n, where n is the number of divisions required. So if the job face is to be divided into n number of divisions, then the crank movement is obtained is this formula 24 by n. Suppose n is say 6, 24 by 6, that is 4. So 4 holes each time the crank is to be bypassed in that hole, 24 holes. So like that, if you do for 6 times, the job face is indexed for 6 equal divisions. This is direct indexing method. And this is an indexing head which is clearly visible, number of hole circles are there, but this is not a direct indexing head, this is universal indexing head. And this is an arrangement which is showing the tailstock and the spindle, and this is the plate, index plate, sector arms and everything. Now we go to the second method, which is plain indexing method. So the number of divisions which cannot be indexed by direct indexing method, because only factors of 24 can only be indexed. So this is accurate and permits more number of divisions than direct indexing. So when the number of divisions to be indexed are more, and when their accuracy is also important, we go for this type of indexing method, which is plain indexing method. To increase the range of indexing, different index plates are used. So more number of divisions can be indexed. This is possible with more different index plates are used. Range of indexing, different index plates are used. Generally, Brown and Sharpe is the one company which is supplying index plate in a set of 3 plates, where number of holes are varying from 15, 16, 17 up to 49. And another company, Cincinnati and Parkinson, this is also supplying index plates which are used with plain indexing method. And here in this Cincinnati and Parkinson, the number of holes are varied in this fashion: 24, 25, 26, 28, 30, 34, like that up to 49. So these are the number of hole circles. This is number of hole circles. These are all concentrically arranged. But here all the circles are available in a set of 3 plates. So one will be in the first 15 to 20, it is supplied in one plate. 21 to 33, it is supplied in another plate. From 37 to 49, these whole concentric circles, they will be supplied on another plate. So each time, depending upon the indexing movement that is calculated, the index plate is to be changed, and suitable index plate is to be fixed on the head, and indexing is done. This is plain indexing method. And the index crank movement using this plain indexing method, and this movement is obtained by using 40 by n formula. 40 by n, where this capital N is the number of divisions required. So, how this 40 by n is to be indexed, or it to be understood? How it is understood? We go with an example. Suppose index for 35 divisions. So, we are supposed to index the job surface into 35 equal parts, so that 35 teeth are to be produced on that job. So, for this thing, the index crank movement is obtained by 40 by n formula. So, here n is 35. So, the crank movement is given with 40 by 35. Now, this 40 by 35, this fraction, it can be reduced to 1 5 by 35. 1 5 by 35 into a mixed fraction, and in turn this 1 5 by 35 is to be understood as the numerator value 40 or the denominator value 35. 40 is the number of holes to be bypassed in a particular circle, and 35 is the number of whole circle. So, the interpretation of this formula is, we have to obtain a circle with 35 holes, and in this 35 hole circle, the crank each time is to be bypassed 40 holes. That means one complete turn and another 5 holes in this 35 hole circle. This is the meaning or interpretation of the index crank movement. But the available index plates, 35 hole circle is not there. 35 hole circle is not available. So, this is to be properly simplified to equal fraction, so that the denominator will be a hole which is available with the Brown Sharpe or Cincinnati Parkinson. So, 35 is not possible, the number 35 is not there. So, this can be 5 by 35 can be reduced to 1 by 7, and this 1 by 7 in turn you can make it 3 by 21 by multiplying with 3 both numerator and denominator. So, when denominator you have 21 whole circle is there. This 21 whole circle is available with the Brown Sharpe. So, we take a plate with 21 whole circle, and you fix up the plunger pin, you locate the 21 whole circle there, and 3 by 21 means each time the crank has to move one complete turn and 3 holes in 21 whole circle. So, one complete turn, 3 by 21, this is to be understood as the crank has to move one complete turn, and in addition we have to move it by another 3 holes in a 21 hole circle. So, like that if you do for 35 times, the job will index it for 35 divisions equally. Now, we move on to the next topic, which is compound indexing. Some of the divisions which are not possible to index with plain indexing, they can be indexed using this method, which is compound indexing. Here the principle of operation is the same as simple indexing, but it uses 2 circles of an index plate. We have number of concentric circles on the index plate. Only one circle at a time is used in the previous method, simple indexing method, plain or simple indexing method. But in compound indexing, 2 circles of the same plate they are used. So, the plunger is to be rotated through some holes in one particular hole circle, and again from there to another hole circle through another number of holes. Like that, it is a compound indexing. So rotating the crank in usual way, keeping the plate fixed, this is the first thing you have to do. And second operation is, this is done in two stages, and the second stage is releasing the back pin, rotating the index plate with handle. The index plate is clamped at the back with a pin, it is released, and with the complete plate and the crank it is rotated. The first only crank is rotated, and second stage is plate as well as crank together as a unit, they are rotated. But first movement is done in one particular hole, and second rotation is done in another hole. It is a combination of these two holes. So this is a compound indexing. The index movement is obtained with this formula. If 40 by n, this is the actual index movement. If n is the number of holes or number of divisions to be obtained, and with simple indexing method we are using this formula. But here in the compound indexing we have to use two different holes, A and B, capital A and capital B. These two refer to two different hole circles in the same index plate. So A and B are the number of holes to be bypassed in A and B hole circles. So for the first stage operation, you locate the A number of hole circle, and in this A number of hole circle the crank is moved through A holes, small A holes, and after that the index plate is released from the back, and with crank and index plates together you locate capital B hole circle, and in this capital B hole circle the plate is rotated through small b holes. So this rotation in the second stage, this may be a positive rotation or a negative rotation, that is why this is plus or minus here, small a by capital A plus or minus small b by capital B. So if n is the number of divisions that is required to be indexed, this 40 by n is to be reduced in this fashion, a by a plus or minus b by b. This is done with a step of operations which are mostly on trial and error basis. So when we use positive, when we use negative, positive is implication that the plate is to be rotated in the same fashion as the crank, and the negative is implying that the index plate is to be rotated in reverse direction to that of the direction of rotation of the crank. So crank may be rotated in the clockwise, the minus sign, it is implied that the plate is to be rotated in anti-clockwise direction. If positive is there, plus is there, both crank, the first stage movement and the second stage movement, both are done in a clockwise direction. So in this fashion we have to reduce the given number of division 40 by n into a set of two fractions, so that we can do indexing method, indexing using this compound indexing. It is quite complicated. So in order to avoid the complexity of the previous one, differential indexing is there. Differential indexing method, here this is also done in two stages similar to compound indexing, but the initial rotation of the crank is done with the hand, and second the plate together with the crank, they are together rotated, that is avoided altogether in this differential indexing. For taking care of the second movement, a set of gears is used, and this is incorporated between the index plate and the dividing head. Set of gears is incorporated between the index plate and the dividing head. So the gear will in turn rotate the plate itself. While you rotate the crank rotates the worm shaft, and the wheel will be rotating, spindle will be rotating, job is rotated. When job is rotated, these set of gears will see that the movement is again transmitted back to the index plate in turn will be rotated either in the same direction or in the negative direction or opposite direction. So, set of gears connecting the index plate receive their motion from worm gear spindle. Worm gear spindle on which the job is clamped, this supplies the motion and the gears will be rotating the index plate. So, without rotating the plate with hand or manually, the gears take in turn the care. So, it is quite simple when compared to a compound indexing method. And as the crank is turned, the plate also turns at a different rate. Because of this set of gears, as you are rotating the crank and set of gears are there, this set of gears will rotate the plate. The plate rotation may be at a different rate. It may not be equal to the rotation of the crank. It depends on the gears you are using. So, for this method, we require number of gears. A set of gears are available and the provided set of gears are generally 28, 32, 40, 44, 48, 56, 64, 72, 86, 100 teeth. These are all various gear sets. Some of them are supplied in pairs, and using all the set of gears, we couple the spindle to the plate. So, as your crank is rotated, spindle rotates the plate using this set of gears. So, with this method, it is possible to index any number of divisions up to 382 and more also with some other additional gears. Up to 1000 also we can do. But with this set of gears, it is possible to index any given job up to 382 equal divisions. And to calculate the change of gears, we have to follow an equation like this. But selecting or providing gears on the head is important here. So, driver, this is the gear on the spindle directly. The spindle drives this. The motion is transmitted from the spindle head, and the driver and the driven ratio is given by small n minus capital N into 40 by n. Here capital N is the number of divisions that are to be indexed, capital N is number of divisions that are to be indexed, which is not possible with other methods. Plain indexing is not possible, simple indexing of course it is not at all. So, we have to choose another number of divisions which is approximately nearer to this capital N, a number which is small n, which can be easily indexable. So, choose a number small n nearer to the capital N, and this n minus n into 40 by n, this thing will be giving you the ratio that is to be obtained on the driver side and the driven side. Driven side is on the plate side, driver side on the spindle side, spindle head side. So, small n minus capital N into 40 by n. So, this is the arrangement which is illustrating the differential indexing. So, the main difference between plain and universal or differential indexing is these are a set of gears. So, this is the spindle head and you have the index plate here. So, index plate and the spindle, these two are connected with number of gears, these are all gears. So, the driver A, B, an idler is there, C, a driven is there, and again you have bevel gear set is there, and you have spur gears are there. So, driver side and the driven side, these two are to be calculated and these two are to be provided here, and as the spindle is rotated when the plate is rotated or the crank is rotated, and crank is rotated, spindle is rotating, this spindle in turn is rotating and this motion is transmitted through these gears, bevel gears and these gears, and it will be transmitted up to the plate, and plate will be rotated. So, the second stage of movement is automatically achieved with this set of gears, for which we have to calculate what are the number of teeth that are to be there on the driver's side, what are the number of teeth that are to be there on the driven side, and small n minus capital N into 40 by n will give you the driver driven ratio, and with the available set of gears we have to choose the number of gears. This is a figure which is showing a set of mitre gears. The relation gives the gears to be placed on the spindle and the worm shaft. Here another thing is, if small n minus capital N is positive, that means the number of divisions required, sometimes the indexable number may be lesser or it is greater. So, if it is positive, n minus n is positive, the plate rotates in the same direction of crank movement. So, we have to adjust or provide the gears in such a way that the motion is transmitted in the same direction. If n minus n is negative, the plate rotates in opposite direction. By putting in another idle gear, the direction may be reversed. So, when the crank is rotated in the clockwise direction, plate will be rotated in an anti-clockwise direction. So, this is depending upon small n minus capital N. If it is positive, we have to go for a gear mechanism such that direction are the same. If it is negative, the opposite movements are to be provided by suitably taking idle gears. So, lastly, indexing, angular indexing is the another method. This indexing method is dividing the periphery of a work in angular measurements, number of divisions in angular measurements. So, for a gearing ratio of 40:1, one revolution of gear rotates the work through 9 degrees or 540 minutes. So, gear ratio, as I told you, generally it is 40:1, or some gear ratios may be varying also. For a 40:1, where 40 is the number of teeth on the worm wheel and a single thread worm is there. So, for 40 complete revolutions of the crank, the spindle will be rotated through only one revolution. 40 revolutions if you make, it will be rotated through one complete revolution. If the crank is rotated through only one revolution, then the spindle is rotated by 1/40th of a revolution. 1/40th of a revolution means 360 is one revolution, 360 divided by 40 is 9 degrees. So, that is why one revolution of a crank rotates the work through 9 degrees, and this is, when converted into minutes, it is 540 minutes. So, each revolution of the crank is rotating the job through 9 degrees. If you take an index plate where number of holes are there, suppose 35 are the holes, if you bypass only single hole in the 35, the angle that is bypassed, that is rotated, is similarly calculated, 1/35 into 1/40 into 360, that is equal to the degrees obtained. Likewise, angular measurements are the main criteria in this angular indexing method. Now, with different types of indexing methods, we go to the next topic, how a spur gear is cut, spur gear cutting. It is very interesting and it is very important as far as milling machine is concerned. The direct application of indexing methods. The direct application of indexing method is generating or producing a gear, spur gear. Here the basic principle is, in spur gear cutting we need gear cutters. For the spur gears manufacturing, gear cutters are used. And another point is, gear blank is machined to the correct size. That is, gear blank is to be obtained, you have to calculate the blank size, diameter. This diameter in turn, it depends upon the number of teeth that are to be there on the gear, type of profile of the teeth, pitch and module, and all these things will be controlling or they will be deciding the size of the gear blank. And the gear blank diameter is calculated using this equation, Z plus 2 divided by PD. Z is number of teeth and small m module, PD is diametral pitch. So, Z plus 2 divided by PD, here PD is diametral pitch and 1 by PD is module. So, when this can be otherwise written as m into Z plus 2. So, if Z is the number of teeth that are to be there on the gear with module m, the diameter so many mm are obtained. So, you have to machine the blank diameter initially. So, with this diameter blank only, by properly choosing a suitable cutter, we can go for producing spur gears on the blank. This figure is illustrating how a blank is machined to a gear wheel. So, this is the cutter, it is mounted on the arbor or the spindle, and you have the dividing head here. So, this is supported on the spindle and the job is here and supported on the other side with a tail stalk, and each time one teeth is produced, after producing one teeth, the dividing head rotates and another teeth is produced. Like that, the entire surface periphery of this blank, they are provided with gear teeth. And next step in going for spur gear cutting is, we have to select the type of indexing to be performed. Depending upon the number of teeth, that is number of equal divisions, we have to select the type of indexing, either it is a plane or a differential. Then bolt the index head and the tail stalk on the table. So, by properly knowing the method and the type of head, you take the head, mount it on the table with a suitable tail stalk, such that this axis of tail stalk and head, they will be perpendicular to the spindle of the machine. It should be perpendicular to the spindle of the milling machine. So, bolt the tail stalk and the indexing head on the table. Now, after bolting the head, we have to calculate the indexing movement. How many holes are to be cranked each time? How many holes? And what is the circle hole we have to choose? So, that is called indexing movement. After calculating this indexing movement, we have to select proper cutter also. Depending upon the number of cutters, there are set of gear cutters. So, we have to choose appropriate cutter depending on the number of teeth that are to be generated, and that cutter is to be mounted on the arbor. So, when you do these things, the table is to be raised to get full depth of cut. You have to raise the table so that the depth of cut is obtained. So, in a single pass or in two passes, depending upon the height of the teeth, we take this task and set proper feed and speeds and apply. Now, for the machine, the feed rate and the spindle speed rate, these are all properly taken care and they are fixed and they are applied also. An operation is repeated till gear is formed. Now, each time one teeth is produced. The gear cutter is a form cutter. Each time it produces one teeth. Immediately completing one teeth, the dividing head or the indexing head, by moving the crank, the job is rotated through the required movement, and each time the operation is repeated till all the teeth are formed on the gear blank. So, this is a photo of a spur gear cutting. So this is the spindle or the arbor or the milling machine on which the cutter is mounted. The cutter is rotating, and this is got the blank, gear blank here, and the blank is mounted on the spindle or the dividing head. So this dividing head spindle is holding the blank. So each time one teeth is produced, one teeth is cut, and after that it is indexed, again another teeth is cut. Like that, depending upon number of teeth, indexing is to be done. Now another operation is producing helical gears. Helical gears can also be produced with the milling machines. This is cut by spiral milling. The operation is called spiral milling. So this is done on universal milling machine. Plain milling machine, universal milling machine, omniversal milling machine, simple milling machine. There are a number of types. For this we need an universal milling machine. And the first step in producing this helical gear is the table on which the index head as well as the tail stalk they are mounted. The entire table is to be set at an angle to the equal to the helix angle of the gear with the normal position. The table is to be rotated through an angle which is equal to the helix angle of the gear. So in the spur gear the table is held on the normal position, but for a helical gear it will be having an angle of helix. To get that angle of helix, the table is rotated. So by knowing the angle of helix that is to be produced, the table is initially rotated. That is important thing. Then after that, proper relation between the movement of the job and the table, connecting the worm shaft to the table feed by a set of gears. Now we have to connect the job and the table. Job is there on the table with in between the dividing head and the tail stalk, and the table is there. Table is given movement with the lead screw, and the relation between the movement of the job and the movement of the table is obtained by connecting the worm shaft to the table feed screw. So worm shaft on the dividing head, it is connected to the table feed screw which is below the table by a set of gears, so that when the table is moved, the worm shaft is rotating, and this shaft rotates the job also. So this is important thing. The job also rotates in helical gear cutting. Spur gear cutting, the job is not rotating. How the job is rotated? This is by connecting the worm shaft with the table lead screw through a gear train. And while the job is rotated, the cutter also rotates and the feed is also given for the table. So these are a number of different types of helical gears, where the teeth profile you can see. This is a part of helix. This is another helical gear. These are the helical gears. Now this sketch is illustrating the basic principle of helical milling. So this is the job on which the helical gears are to be produced, and this is the arbor of the machine on which the cutter is placed. So this is the normal direction of the arbor, this is the normal direction of the table. But the table initially like this, it is rotated through an angle which is equal to helix angle. This is helix angle. Now it is made like this. So direction of table feed now. So angle which is equal to helix angle, the table is rotated, and the table feed screw, lead screw, and the dividing head worm shaft, these two are connected. So as the time is passing by, so I would like to close this session and we continue the same topic in the next session. So far in this class we have discussed indexing and what are the number of types of indexing methods, and each indexing method we have discussed: direct indexing, simple indexing, then we discussed about compound indexing, then differential indexing, angular indexing. Then the application of indexing is spur gear cutting, how a spur gear is generated on a milling machine, and the second application is to produce in helical gears, and this is we are almost completing it, and we continue with this next class.